Um, Sorry for the break in transmission. NEPA took light, so I had to go for an alternative. So we are back, and then we expect Black Caesar himself, Ike Diogu, to join us as we continue on this journey of MBBF Insta Live, the Thursday edition, with the current captain of the senior men's national team, popularly referred to as life after retirement and all that and all that. We are still talking to him, and then he's trying to join. Yes, he's back. Sorry for that break. Nigeria happened. So when you come back to Nigeria, those are the things you'll be experiencing. Okay.
Yes.
Aha. So be prepared. Now we were talking about the leadership position in the team as a captain. Who is the best? Who is the best fit? Who is the best bet right now?
Um. Well, hey, like I said, I'm gonna say Farouk. But if not Farouk, then I'm gonna say Ben Uzo.
Okay. Brian Uzo, you think is vocal enough to step up and be the captain of the team?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, I don't think you always have to be, very vocal physically, so to speak, because I don't think I'm very vocal physically, but you just go out there by, your actions. You let your actions speak, and I think that's why a lot of people can say that they respect what I do because I don't do a lot of talking. I don't do a lot of complaining. Um, but I go out there and I give 110%, and everybody knows that I'm a huge advocate for Nigeria. My loyalty can never ever be questioned by anybody. Nobody could ever question, my authenticity or my loyalty for Nigeria, and and they see me doing everything too. I don't do anything special. I don't want any special treatment. I want to be treated just like everybody else, and I'm willing to work, and people see that, so they respect it.
Um, looking at you as a person, I know that your time is probably coming to an end. Have you taken any special interest in somebody on that team, and then you are trying to groom him to become the next? Apart from the people you mentioned, who you see as probably they will still be consistent in a very long time to come. But have you taken interest in anybody that you are grooming to fill up your shoes?
Man, it's a lot of people. I'm so excited for the future. Um, the one thing I always tell the younger players is, only thing I'm sad about, only thing I have a regret about is I don't get to play with you guys for much longer. And I tell that to Ike Irebu. I tell that to even Ike Lamu. I tell that to Josh Chimezie. These Jordan. I mean, these guys, Gabe. These guys are going to be fixtures on the national team for years to come, and they're exciting players. And I talk to them all the time. I talk to them all the time and tell them, man, hey, listen, this is going to be you guys' thing soon. So you guys got to, you need to do this, that, and the third. Try not to get frustrated by this stuff because some things are just out of your control. But yeah, I mean, those guys right there, and I mean, you got other guys coming on too. We haven't even talked about somebody like Jalil, who I think is going to be unbelievable talent. You talk about a guy that can really score the ball. Um, he's got good size and everything. I'm looking forward to practicing and going up against him. So I can't really just say one. It's a whole group of Nigerian players that are coming in, and it's even guys right now that are being drafted that I'm pretty sure will be part of the team at some point in time. Uh, So I'll make myself available to introduce myself to those guys one by one. Oh yeah, somebody just mentioned OG from the Toronto Raptors. I haven't met him before personally, but I think he's a good player. So many players, so many up and coming guys that I'm fans of. They don't even know. I'm a big fan of Precious, who's at Memphis. I think he's gonna be amazing. But as far as guys that are on the national team, I'm gonna start with both Ikes, Chimezie, Jordan, Gabe, Josh. That's the future right there. That's the future. And those guys are gonna do some great things from Nigeria moving forward. So those are the stars that y'all should be getting to know really well, because they have some good stuff in store for y'all.
Okay. In terms of administration, we might not have it this good all the time. Right now you said things are getting better. Probably we will probably have a downtime, and then it will pick up again, and things will get better, and then it will go back. All these players that you've mentioned, do you, what will you tell them at that particular point in time that things are not going so well? Then probably in terms of welfare, in terms of looking after them, even when they're not on national duty. What will you tell them at that moment that okay they should do to continue?
Well, for me, it's always eyes on the prize. That's all we can think about. We can only think about eyes on the prize. So we made a commitment when we joined the national team to give the team our all, to make sure we practice hard, to make sure we're the best versions of ourselves. So regardless if, the per diem is late, any, the problems that we normally have, we still have a job to do. And we just have to keep our eyes on the prize. This is why we joined the national team. We didn't join the national team for per diem. We joined the national team because we want to accomplish these goals. So in the end, we trust that we will get our per diem or whatnot, or whatever the situation may be, whatever situation is arising at the time. But let's handle our business. And at the end of the day, let's not waste our time. We can't waste our time, because we can continue to focus on this stuff right now and just ruin our whole summer by not going out there and doing what we're supposed to do, by focusing on this stuff that we can't change. No matter how much we continue to complain and change, all of a sudden our per diem is not just going to come out of nowhere. It'll come eventually, but we just have to be patient. Things are different. Things operate different in Nigeria than they do in the U.S. So coming on the national team, there's going to be a little bit of give and take, because you got some guys that are coming from the NBA or top teams in Europe, where everything is just on time. So, I understand Farouk's frustration. I understand Gabe's frustration, because if you ever played in the NBA, then like that's the definition of first class. There's never a time when anything will be late, ever. That doesn't exist within that organization. So sometimes when we come to Nigeria, we have to taper our expectations just a little bit. Everything should be ran a certain way. I do agree with guys on that. But things are getting better, so we have to constantly, be patient, because things have gotten a lot better from 2011 to 2020. And so 2020 to 2031 or whenever, we expect it to jump some more and to keep jumping and to keep jumping. And the more
I think
things will improve.
okay. You're having issues with your network. Now, what is per diem? Because it's just mentioning per diem, per diem, per diem. A lot of people don't understand the meaning of per diem. What is per diem? That is always causing problems.
Okay, so per diem. So per diem is the money that you make that you're supposed to be paid per day, right? You're supposed to be paid X amount of dollars per day that you're with the national team.
Okay.
So that's what that is.
Um, as a rookie, what were those challenges that you faced? You're playing basketball, and then how did you surmount these challenges?
As a rookie on the national team.
No. Career-wise, playing in the NBA.
Uh-huh.
How did you surmount those challenges, and what were those challenges in the first place?
Well, as a rookie, the game is just so much different in college. It's like everything you learned in college, you have to throw that out the window because the pro game is so different. In college, coaches always want to tell you to everything is full speed. You got to go full speed from here to there. When you get to the NBA, everything is all about pace. You got to be able to change your pace up. So you might go hard here and then, slow down a little bit. Whereas college, everything is just 100 miles a minute. You got to do everything fast. Everything just fast, 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 fast. So you got to break a lot of those habits when you get to college. When you get to the NBA. So that's a little bit of adjustment. And then you're playing against the best players in the world. So that's a bit of an adjustment as well. But once you get into the groove, you just realize that it's just basketball. It's the same game you've been playing since you were a kid. And, once the game slows down, there comes that period for everybody where it's like the game literally slows down for you. And then you are able to play your natural style of basketball.
All right. Best moment for you on the national team.
Huh?
Best moment for you on the national team.
Best moment on the national team?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, it's so many. But honestly, I think that what we did in 2012, being the first African country to ever qualify for the Olympics out of the Olympic qualifying tournament, taking down Greece, taking down Lithuania, and getting that Olympic bid in the way that we did is just priceless. It's unbelievable. It's that right there. That's just one shining moment, and I don't think any African team honestly will ever do that again. Just because that tournament is very tough. There's some really good teams, and for us to be a part of history is amazing. Listen, I'm an advocate for African basketball, and I hope another African team does make it out to the Olympics because it would be cool to have two African teams in the Olympics again. But it's a tough tournament. It's a tough tournament.
Recently, okay, still on that Olympics 2012, against US, that massive blowout.
Uh-huh.
Can you relive the moment again?
Well, uh, yeah, I can relive the moment. It wasn't the prettiest of games, obviously. But this is what I tell people. I feel like the USA actually respected us and they game planned for us, and that's what they did. I don't think collectively from the coaching staff, to everybody, I don't think that they really believed that we could win that game for whatever reason. I don't understand how you go into a game not knowing that you can win. But just our game plan for the game, just the speech before the game, it just kind of led me to believe that we just overlooked that game and we were going to the next game. Again, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why that was the approach that the coaching staff at that time took. And so, the rest is really history. It's not really much more I can say about the game. It was crazy.
Recently, the federation announced the addition of Mike Brown to the technical crew of the national team. As the leader of the team, as the king of boys right now, what is your take about this latest addition?
About Mike Brown?
Yeah.
I think Mike Brown is a great addition. Obviously, it speaks to the popularity of basketball growing. An established coach like himself wants to come and coach our team. And I actually had a chance to talk with him a couple of times because I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and they had a game out here, so I was able to chat with him, and he kind of laid out his whole plan about what he has going forward. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting, and he's somebody who believes in the growth of Nigerian basketball as well.
Let me play the devil's advocate here. Um, Many are saying that Alex Nwora qualified the team for the Olympics, that it wasn't right for the national team or the federation to make a change at this particular point in time. Mike Brown coming to take the shine of Alex Nwora. Have you spoken to the players? Do they share the same sentiment? Or for them, it's just bring on anybody that you think is capable of coaching us?
Well, yeah, I think the players have the same. I think the players have the same sentiment. I mean, obviously, me personally, I love Coach Nwora. You know, he's from the same place. I mean, we're from the same area, from the east. So, uh, I obviously have a lot of respect and admiration for Coach. And it was a tough decision. It was a tough decision when I heard about it. One of the first phone calls I had to make was to him just to make sure that was this really true? Was this really happening? And we talked about a bunch of different stuff. So I was still happy that he was allowed to be on the staff because he does deserve a lot of credit. He did a lot of uh, unbelievable things as a coach with the national team. His record speaks for itself. Qualifying for the World Championships, getting a silver medal with not a lot of help at the African Championships, and qualifying the team for the Olympics. So his resume speaks for itself, and I'm just happy that he's going to be able to be a part of the coaching staff.
What do you think Mike Brown will bring to the team in terms of philosophy?
Uh, I just think the same preparation that NBA teams have. If you've ever been in an NBA locker room, when you're playing against your opponent, I mean, they break everything down. So you know exactly the tendencies of your opponent. And I just think that our preparation is going to go up to another level. And I think in order to get a medal, you have to be at the highest level of preparation. So we have to know everything about these opponents that we're going to. We've got to know tendencies. We've got to know everything. And with his whole staff, he's bringing along. He's coming along with a lot of people. He's got a big staff. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but he's bringing a lot of people with him. So. I just think that the attention to detail and the preparation should be the finest that Nigeria has ever seen.
Uh, Speaking about Mike Brown and then coming to Nigeria, do you think that will play any role in attracting the likes of probably Oladipo, Ojianobi to come and play for Nigeria, looking at the pedigree of Mike Brown in the NBA?
I mean, I would say so, but it's tough to ask me because regardless of any of these people, my mindset was I was going to join Nigeria regardless. But that's just how I feel. So, I can't. I don't know how these individuals grew up because everything depends on how you grew up. Like just like I made the reference with Andre Iguodala. People ask him how come he didn't want to play for Nigeria. He was like, well, hey, I didn't grow up. I didn't really grow up around my Nigerian side. I grew up around my American side. So, you can respect something like that. So I don't know how these guys grew up, but for me, it's I would want to play regardless. I don't really know these guys that well, so I can't say what their mindset is. But I would think that if you got an NBA coach, and you got other NBA assistant coaches on the staff, and you got a whole NBA staff, that'll make you more comfortable if you're worried about something like that to join the national team.
Have you ever thought of opening a basketball camp or basketball school in Nigeria?
I've actually talked
And
with
if, and if, and if yes, where's your preferred location?
I've actually talked with Farouk about doing that, and that is something I'm interested in. And I've also talked with KC about that as well, who you had on here. But most definitely, to do that would be in the East. Opening up something in Emo State. I think there's a lot of basketball players out there, in the entire Southeast, but we just don't have anywhere to. We don't have anywhere to really play at. I mean, I just think that really on the whole, honestly, I feel like we need a state of the art basketball stadium in Nigeria.
So the national
That's what I don't understand why we don't have a beautiful arena that we can go to and play at.
What about national?
Listen. Yeah, the national stadium isn't. No, it's we need somewhere. We need somewhere like Rwanda or Senegal has. We need somewhere beautiful. I know we have the resources to do it, and I don't understand why we don't have that. That's the next thing that I would like to see. So you talk about being the president. So for me, that would be one of the first things. That would be one of the first things is I would build a beautiful stadium, and that way you can have your national team. You can have your national team come and train in Nigeria, and you can have people come so they can actually get to reach out and touch the players and get to communicate with the players, and they won't seem so far away. It's good sometimes to have training camp in different places, but I think more so we have training camp in all these other different areas because the national stadium just isn't suitable to have a realistic training camp just due to the conditions. So I think if we built somewhere state of the art, the rest takes care of itself.
Okay. First time you guys came to Nigeria was for the qualifier. You had a feel of what it was like to play in Nigeria, to be cheered on by your fans, to interact with them and all that. The experience, like wise for you, is this something that you cherished, or if you could have your way, it wouldn't be in Lagos, you prefer to probably go outside and play?
Oh, nah, the African qualifiers was great. It was absolutely great. It was great to see everybody show up. The music playing. I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to host a basketball tournament of that magnitude at the national stadium, and they did a good job of renovating the national stadium. Making it look nice. Uh, I would like to be able to have more games in Nigeria. Be able to invite European teams or whatever, teams from Australia. So that's where having a state of the art stadium comes in. I know we're gonna have some nice fans. Um, so that's what I would like to see. I would like to see Nigeria start hosting stuff. I would like to see us host the Afro Basket. Why can't we host the Afro Basket? Why does you see Rwanda, Tunisia, why can't we host the African Championships? That's what I would like to see.
We spoke about the newfound status of Nigerian basketball when it comes to the international space, and then more players in their national career to Nigeria. Of recent, this rumor about Spencer, the the Windy, who plays for Brooklyn Nets, wanting to play for Nigeria at the next Olympics. Um, do you share the sentiment that we should accommodate people like this? Remember that FIBA rules allows it, but do you share that sentiment?
Well, I mean, this has always been my take, and I've always been very passionate about this topic. I'm not a fan of naturalizing anybody, because to me, as Nigerians, we have everything that you need, and so um, I think a lot of players feel like this too. That we don't really see the point in naturalizing anybody because we have everything that we need, and it's a certain bond that all of us share, and that main bond is that we're all Nigerian, so we can all relate to each other in some way, shape, or form. Whether we talk about stories of our parents growing up, and music, food, and everything. So um, that's how I feel. Obviously, FIBA rules do allow you to naturalize a player. So I don't. I mean, I'm not sure what direction that they are going to go in. I know that they're exploring those options, and they're looking at other players as well. Uh, but for me personally, I'm not really a fan of naturalizing anybody. I mean, LeBron James could come on ESPN right now and say, "I want a Nigerian passport," and nothing against LeBron, but they're not Nigerian. So um, that's how I feel. I know there's a lot of players that feel the exact same way. It's been a road that was paved through hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get the national team to where it is. And, some people don't really like the idea of somebody being able to come on board without having to pay any dues and to automatically qualify and be on the Olympic team. So it's that's a tough one. That's a tough decision that the federation has to make. I'm glad I don't have to get involved in that. So I can only tell you, my opinion and how I feel. But I'm not a fan of naturalizing anybody. And Spencer Dinwiddie is a very, very good player. It's nothing against him personally. Like I said, his resume speaks for itself. But at the same time, there's a common bond that we all share, and we're all very adamant about being Nigerian and playing for the national team. So that's kind of how I feel about the subject. I mean, people feel differently, but that's just how I feel.
All right. We saw the team at the World Cup. China. Where are those areas that you think we need to work on, to have a sterling performance at the Olympics?
The areas that we need to work on. I mean, you can always get better as a player, but I think understanding time and situations is what we have to get better at. So I guess that falls under decision making, because we can all go back and look at the Russia game, the crucial 2 minutes um, in the Russia game, and realize like we took some quick shots, we took some bad shots. At that point in time, the clock is in our favor. The clock is in our favor, and we also have the pieces to slow the game down and to get the clock to where we want to get it to, get the ball inside to whoever's on the court. Not necessarily me, but we have Farouk is also a mismatch out there, or whatever the case may be, or actually just to be able to run a set. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 possessions where we just came down, one pass, one shot, um, and then that led to them getting easy buckets. And so that's really it. Just better decision making, and that falls on all of us. You know.
Do you have nightmares after these games?
The Russia game was pretty tough. That was a tough game. That was a very, very, very tough game because we knew what we essentially gave away. And we did give the game away. And, that team isn't better than us. And, we let them off the hook. We let them off the hook. We had them right where we wanted them. But, hey, it's all part of growing. It's all part of growing. So we'll get to see him again. And the outcome will be much different.
Okay. Looking at your NBA career, you played for the NBA. You got drafted in 2005. Recorded your highest career point in the NBA, scoring points for Golden State Warriors, which many never, because some of us are just young kids on the block and
Yeah.
the full Nigerian ball, which now was not as popular. Now, what were the attendant challenges that you faced stepping into the NBA? You used to talk about being a new world coming from the college to but in terms of life outside the court, the media hype, in terms of your lifestyle, you had money now to throw around and all that. The girls were coming. What were those things that probably got you derailed or were challenging for you playing in the NBA?
I mean, it really just depends on what type of person you are. Because to me, I mean, the only difference from, well, depending on what college you went to, but the only difference from college to pro is
You're trying to respond to Michael.
The only difference from college to pro really is the money aspect, right? Because I went to Arizona State, so I don't know if you know really too much about Arizona State, but Arizona State is a crazy place. I mean, it's a crazy college. Parties, there's, I mean, all types of stuff. So you could easily get derailed in college, and that's that's so to me, it's really no difference other than now you just have money. So, um, playing in Golden State, I mean, you still get invited to crazy parties, and there's still, there's still going to be women. So it just depends on, what type of person you are. You have to be mentally focused on what your goal is. Is your goal to have a good career, or is your goal to go out and party and have fun? And that's what happens to a lot of young players. It is tough when you get a lot of money and you have no direction, and you get a lot of free time on your hand because you don't got to go to school, you don't got to go to study hall, all these things that they do in college to keep you busy. You don't have any of that anymore. So it's just you and your thoughts, and whatever you want to do, you can do. But depending on what you do, it does have consequences. So it just depends on what you're, mentally where you're at.
So how rich the Ike Diogu?
Huh?
How rich is Ike Diogu?
I don't know. I don't know.
So what are the areas of interest outside basketball in terms of investment?
In terms of what?
Investment.
Investment?
Yeah.
Real estate. You can never go wrong with real estate. Real estate, I think that's the big one. Just owning property, because property naturally appreciates over time. So that's always a wise place to put your money in.
You have played for Indiana Pacers, Portland, LA Clippers, San Antonio Spurs. Name them. Which or where did you enjoy the most?
The Clippers. It got me a chance to play with my brother Farouk, who, like I said, is my brother for life. LA is a beautiful city. And we had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun on and off the court together. So LA is that was my favorite team, because I got to meet, like I said, one of my brothers for life. and we had a fun time. We had a fun time together. You know, we lived pretty much right down the street from each other, so we got to hang out a lot. Um, so yeah, LA was great.
If you were to make a change in your club career, which point do you go back to make that change? Probably you have gone to this place and make that decision or sign for that club.
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I didn't want to get drafted by the Warriors. Where I wanted to go was I wanted to go to the Orlando Magic, and once summer league happened, after the draft happened, I ran into the GM for the Orlando Magic, and we were on the elevator, and he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you were supposed to be our pick." So that's where I really wanted to go. I didn't really want to go to the Warriors. I mean, even though the Warriors was a great place to go, you can't complain about being drafted. But in a perfect world, if I could go back, that's where I wanted to get drafted to, is to the Orlando Magic.
Did you request for a trade, or you just thought, okay, since I'm here now?
Nah, no request for a trade. You know, I was just happy. I was just happy to be drafted and to be in the NBA. So there was no complaining. But obviously, uh, I played my rookie year, and then everybody who did draft me was fired the next year. So a whole new regiment came in. So that's why I say, in hindsight, I wish that I would have went to the
Orlando.
Orlando Magic, because at least I would have been able to play with, the whole front office and everybody who drafted me, rather than, having to play for new people, and they don't feel any obligation to have to play you because you weren't their draft pick. So then, that's when, trades and different things started happening. So if I could do it all over again, that's where I want to go.
How difficult was it to start afresh and then to start facing new coaches, start working under new coaches? Without that pedigree, you just come second season a rookie, and then nobody gave you serious thoughts. How
Yeah.
challenging?
It's very you're looking at all your you're looking at all your friends and all your peers that you played growing up with, and that you played in college with, and even dominated in college, and now you see them, dominating at the NBA level, and you still can't really play. Um, it was tough. It was really tough. But that is that's just the NBA. The NBA is a business, and I think sometimes as players we don't really think about situation and opportunity. I think we think that we're just so good that we can go to any situation and thrive, and that's not always the case, because you can be the greatest player ever, but if you're in a terrible situation, you're never going to be able to play, and you're never going to be able to thrive. And to me, I feel like that's what happened with me. Um, I was an extremely talented player. I was capable of doing a lot, but I could just never really find the right situation. And it's tough as a young player when you start getting traded a lot too, because so much of the NBA is based on reputation. And people make up in their minds, what they think you are and why they think you're not playing. And these labels and these tags, they tend to stick with you wherever you go. So it's really tough sometimes after that first situation to really get a fair shot in the NBA, and that's just how it works. So unfortunately, I didn't have the NBA career that I wanted to have, and the most disappointing thing is, and I didn't have that career, but it wasn't based on how good I was. So I think a lot of people on the outside, they think if you're not playing, it's because you're not good enough. And so that is the one thing that you have to come to terms with, and you have to cope with, is people on the outside, they don't know how the NBA works. So, they think you're not playing because you're not good enough, but you're good enough. It's just a lot of different situations that you have to have work in your favor that unfortunately I didn't have work in my favor.
Now we have some of the young stars in the NBA trying to. We have more going there next year, ahead of the 2020 2021 season. What would be your advice to them because you've been there, you've seen the challenge and all that. What should they do right for them to try then to make a name for themselves?
So, man, really just get to well, the one thing you have to do is, like I said, you want to make sure that you develop a really good reputation within the organization. So, um, I would say get to know everybody. Don't be standoffish. Um, get to know everybody in your front office, your GM, your president, the owner, if you can. I think you just want to develop a good working relationship with everybody. So moving forward, your name around the league will be good. I think if that's the basis right there. If you start with that, I think the rest will follow. And of course, you got to work hard. Um, but I think those are the main things. I mean, in life, everything is all about relationships. So just establishing those relationships early and coming off as a sincere individual, I think that'll go a long way. I think oftentimes uh, just because if you're the man in high school or if you're the man in college, you feel like you don't really have to go out of your way to get to know some of these higher ups like the GM or the president. But it goes a long way. Trust me.
You've played in the Chinese league, and then a lot of people are moving to China right now. Somebody is asking now that in terms of qualities and opportunities, how do you rate the Chinese league?
Well, to me, the Chinese league is going to be right under the NBA simply because China's they're paying the most money. Um, so at the end of the day, it's a job, and that's what you're doing. You're working, and that's a league that offers you the most money for the shortest amount of time. And there's also some really good players there too. So it's no secret to getting better in basketball. You get better by going in the gym and working on what you got to work on. So um, you don't have to go to Europe. Europe is not the only place that you can develop at. Yes, you can develop in China. I mean, overall, would you say the league in China is as strong as the league in Europe? No, it's not. But I mean, there's still some really good players in China, and like I said, there's no secret to getting better. The more you play, the more confident you become, and you got empty gyms in China. So get in the gym, get a rebounder, and work on your weaknesses. So you have the ability to get better no matter where you go. So to me, China is a go. China afforded me a lot of opportunities that other clubs in Europe wouldn't, especially as far as money wise. So I have nothing but positive things to say about China.
Okay, now you spoke about money, which many Nigerians or many players on national team will describe as blessing. Um, how much has money played in your decision, in switching club, um, the role of money in your career decision?
Well, money. Is always going to be the main is always going to be the main deciding factor, especially as I started to get older. I didn't really think about money so much when I was younger, but as I started to get older, your mindset and stuff changes. So you start thinking long term, and you start thinking about future. So probably since I've been out of the NBA is when I just started thinking about, okay, well, I got to go to the place that pays the most money.
So where are you now? Where are you collecting the next paycheck?
Well, the next paycheck that I'll be collecting, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to play at next season. Hopefully, I would like to go back to China. I don't know if there'll be any opportunities out there, but definitely, if not China, definitely Japan.
Okay. 2014 D League. You were named as how will I put it now? In the All-Star team in the D
Mm-hmm.
League, Player of the Year, the Impact Player in the D League. With many people thought that you were still going to be around the US basketball system, but all of a sudden, boom, you went to Puerto Rico. Why that decision? Because you were
Um, Well, that was a very strange year because I didn't understand after being so dominant in the D League. I didn't understand why there wasn't any opportunities to go to the NBA. And my coach at the time, who also ended up being the Nigerian national team coach, Will Voigt, he told me that he had never witnessed anything like that before in all his years of coaching, in terms of a guy coming down to the D League and being so dominant. Because if you go back and you pay attention to that season, um, there was a stretch there where, uh, I mean, everything just was perfect, and it was just game after game. It was just domination. I was clearly the best player in the D League. I was definitely the best big man in the D League. It wasn't even up for discussion. I mean, it was a matter of, it got to the point where people started saying, okay, it's not if he's going to get called up, but when he gets called up. And so when that didn't happen, um, it was disappointing. It was extremely disappointing because I didn't understand. I'm watching people who I'm dominating get called up, but I didn't get called up. It didn't make any sense to me. So it was obviously frustrating. So that was a whole year basically where I played for free. I mean, I don't really consider the D League salary to be very much. So um, they wanted me to go play in Puerto Rico. It was a chance to make some money, and Puerto Rico is not a bad place to be at either. So I decided to go to Puerto Rico and had a good time in Puerto Rico. We actually ended up winning the championship.
Um, Going back in time, when you played for free, quote and unquote, in the D League, um, will you say it was because of session or because your agent was not really up and doing for you not to have pegged the deal with an NBA side?
I don't know. That's still a question that nobody can really answer. Because the level of dominance that I was at was unquestionable. I mean, I was dominating everybody. There wasn't a big man that I didn't dominate. I see some big man right now in the NBA that were in the D League at that time that I absolutely just destroyed, and they will be able to tell you. So I don't know what happened that year. It's very strange. But there's been a lot of strange things that have happened in my career. So
Tell us some
it's
of
some things are just out of your hands.
tell us some of these strange things that you've seen as a player, and then when other people are experiencing it, you will tell them, "Man, I've seen this. It's not like that. Don't worry. This stage will come, and then it will go." Tell us some of those.
Yeah, I mean, that you talk about the D League. I didn't understand how I didn't get caught up in the D League. I mean, I really honestly didn't understand how I ended the 2008-2009 season with the Sacramento Kings. I mean, I played phenomenal with the Kings. I had some really big games with the Kings. Really big games. I mean, games of 32 points, 14 rebounds, 28 points, 14 rebounds. I mean, I ended the season just on a tear, and I was still young at that point, and I didn't understand how I didn't get offered. I don't understand how I didn't get offered a good contract other than signing for the league minimum with the New Orleans Hornets. I didn't understand that. I mean, even my agent at the time told me, you know. So it's been a lot of things that have happened in my basketball career that people don't know about, and and that's the thing. When I tell people that my NBA career was disappointing, I mean, that still doesn't take away from the fact that I had some really good big games in the NBA. So it wasn't like, when I got on the floor, I wasn't producing. I mean, I have some highlights. I have some games. Even my rookie year, that back then, the Detroit Pistons they were like the best team in the NBA. They were coming off a championship, one of the best teams, and they had the best defense in the NBA. They had one of the greatest defenses of all time. of all time. You know, they had Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace down there. I mean, these were two of the best defenders in the league. And I remember as a rookie, I had 27 on them. So these are things that a lot of people forget about because they tend to just look at, well, you know, you didn't play that much. But it's like, yeah, over my career, I didn't play that much. But when I did play, I produced. And these are all things that you can look up. So, yeah. I mean, but that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes.
Looking at your position, your height, and everything, your shooting has been amazing. You know, people never expected you to be a good shooter, and also for your height. A lot of people your age and also, you know, but looking at you as a person, you shoot well. You know, you make 30 points easily. You make 20 points easily, and then you catch as well. Um, how were you able to combine this offensive role and the defensive role as a basketball player? And at what time of your career did you develop such a shooting instinct?
Mm-hmm. Well, I always wanted to be as versatile as possible. Even growing up, I always thought that it was cool um, to be able to score down low and to be able to shoot from the perimeter. I always thought that that was cool. So um, that's what I always worked on. In my backyard, I used to always work on shooting. And as I started getting older and I started working with different coaches, they worked with me on my as far as being able to post up down low and being able to use both hands. So I just always wanted to work on everything to you know, to not have any weaknesses. So that's kind of how I went developing as a player.
Now let me pick you on that. Maybe that was responsible for what you witnessed in the NBA because you know it wasn't until of recent when you see a big man who can shoot, a big man who can also do the defensive job well. But probably back then in 2005, many people didn't understand you. Many people didn't. They were not comfortable with your style of basketball. A big man that can shoot, and then if they look at the stats and then the numbers of points you made, you probably think you were not doing your defensive role.
All right, so say that again. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said your shooting ability, your versatility, the ability to do everything well, to rebound and then to score points, you know, as a big man. Maybe that was responsible for the reasons why you were not able to make it that far in the NBA because not until of recent when big men were allowed to shoot, you know, when it comes to basketball.
Mhm.
Do you think that was responsible for it? Because most of the coaches didn't really understand the game that you brought.
Um, I think that I think that played a little bit of part in it in the sense of I just don't think that a lot of coaches in the NBA really knew what I was really capable of doing. And I was able to show it in flashes when I was given the opportunity, but I was never really able to be fully like unleashed. Like in college, my coach, you know, he unleashed me and allowed me to play through my mistakes. And you know, like I said, the more you play, the more confident you become. In the NBA, there's so many different agendas that are going on. You know, you might have a GM who's in the last year of his contract, or a coach who's in the last year in his contract, and they're doing whatever it takes in order not to get fired. You know, so it's all these different things going on that you have no clue, about. And so, but at the same time, you know, those agendas are stunting your growth as a player. And and people say, well, what do you do in that situation? Well, it's nothing you can do in that situation, but just, you know, hope that, you know, everything works out in your favor. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. You spoken about now. Any hope for you requirement to float and run a basketball club in Nigeria? Not academy right now, but a club probably competing in the top flight of either the men or the men's basketball league.
Say that one more time.
Do you think that you will run a basketball league when you retire in Nigeria?
That I'll run the basketball league?
Sorry, club in Nigeria.
I would love to run a team in Nigeria. Yeah, if the opportunity presented itself, I would love to run a team in Nigeria. Absolutely, in the local league. Because I mean everything starts there. Developing the local league, and yeah, I mean it's all part of the for me. It's all part of the ultimate goal for the better development of Nigerian basketball. Yeah, I like I said, I would love to. I would love to own a team. I would love to have a real arena where we can play and host events, and just try to get the same popularity with soccer that there is in basketball, because we have a tremendous soccer team, but the continent has to also know that. Well, the country also has to know that there's some real good things going on with the basketball program. So we can do some big things for you guys and make you guys proud as well. So yeah.
I know you've never played in local league before back in Nigeria. Will it be crazy enough to come back and play 1 or 2 years in Nigeria?
Not at all. Not at all. Hey,
Okay.
not at all. I would absolutely love to come back and play in Nigeria. Like I said, I'm comfortable in Nigeria, so I would love to play in the local league. I really would. Especially with this new league coming, that the NBA is going to be NBA Africa is going to be a part of. So yeah, I would love to be able to play in Nigeria.
Okay. This trying to tell River Supers who will be representing at the inaugural edition that Ike Diogu is free, and then he will love to play back home. So if you're interested in him, you can come and get him. He can shoot, and then he can play. He can give you some amazing numbers. You mentioned facility, and then that has got a very big problem for us in Nigeria. In what other ways do you think we can invest in to ensure that we have top league?
That we have a top league.
Yes. What do you think?
Well, at the it comes down to money too. You got to be able to compensate the players well, so you can get players from all over. Because that should be the ultimate goal of your league. Is you want to be able to globalize your league to where you want to be able to have Americans that want to come over and play in Nigeria. You want to have Europeans that want to come and play in Nigeria. So you want to have people from all over wanting to come and play in Nigeria. That's when you're doing the right things with your league. You want your league to be competitive. You want your league to be running first class. You want everybody outside of Nigeria to say, man, that Nigerian, the local league is a tough league. Not only do they have good players, but they pay on time, they pay well, and that's where you want to play at. So that should be the ultimate goal of the local league.
Okay. I think we have 3 or 4, 5 questions to ask you. What does around your personal life, and then other little stuff that you watch on this when it comes to BBF Insta Live. But we have 14 minutes to go this session, so we try to connect and bring you back for the last few seconds of the last quarter.
Okay.
All right.
All right.